am Susan Kinney, president of the Pasadena Police Foundation. Will everyone please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Pasadena Police Department Honor Guard, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Our invitation will be given by Reverend Dr. James Stevenson. He's a foundation board member and pastor of the Scott United Methodist Church.
May we bow our heads in prayer. Holy and loving God, you've brought us to this place, O God, and we give you praise and we give you thanksgiving. We ask thy blessings upon police all over America as they secure this country. God, we live in a world that is torn by hatred and violence and crime. We ask for your mercy and your grace. We live in a world, God, where persons are more concerned about the color of skin than the content of character. A world, oh God, of miseducation. A world that's stricken by hatred and greed. But we still pray for your mercy, and we pray for your grace upon this occasion and all over America, God. In the name of the risen Christ, amen.
Thank you. I have some introductions to make. Assemblyman Chris Holden, would you stand? Mayor Terry Turnick. Councilmember Margaret McAustin. Councilmember Steve Madison. And City Manager Steve Mermel. Thank you for being here today. I would also like to thank our sponsors, our chief sponsor, Tournament of Roses. Thank you very much. And Michelle, thank you very much. Where are you? Our Commander Foundation sponsors, Parsons, thank you. And our Lieutenant Foundation sponsors, John Blanchard Company, Han and Han, Sharp Seating, Athens Services, and I misspelled that. I apologize for that. It's supposed to be ATHENS. And Steve Madison, thank you. I'd like to ask Carrie Yanish up to present this award for our Officer of the Year, the Yanish Officer of the Year. Carrie is Kristen is the daughter of our past president, Myron, for who this award was named after.
Sergeant Thomas, would you please come up to the stage? Or Thompson, I'm sorry, Sergeant Thompson. I know. Here he comes. Okay. Sergeant Glenn Thompson of the Pasadena Police Department is an inspiration to his fellow officers and Pasadena youth who he has helped over the last 25 years. Thompson is a volunteer with the Pasadena Police Explorers Program and has been involved with the Explorer Program and other youth-centric programs for his entire law enforcement career. Glenn truly believes that investing in our youth early in their lives will lead to a successful outcome as they mature into adulthood. In addition to teaching explorers on what it takes to become a police officer, he has encouraged and coached hundreds of young men and women between the ages of 14 to 21 years to become involved in civic activities and to participate in the Pasadena Police Department's Explorers Program. The Pasadena Police Department has had a rich tradition of hosting a successful and widely attended Explorer Post within Southern California, and the reputation is known throughout the western states. This is by and large a result of the gift of Sergeant Glenn Thompson's time and devotion to duty. Glenn encourages and motivates his explorers to participate in explorer competitions, ceremonies, and other civic events, the purpose of which is to provide a safe environment for our city's youth and to teach them various life skills, build their confidence and self-esteem in an effort to prepare them for adulthood. During Sergeant Thompson's tenure, some of our explorers have returned to the Pasadena Police Department after college and now serve as police officers alongside their mentor. Thompson's excellent teaching skills, kindness, generosity of his time, and smile leaves a lasting impression on every explorer he works with, said our own police chief, Sanchez. In every young person's life, there should be someone like Glenn who can make a positive, memorable difference, and that's what Glenn does every day.
Thank you.
We would like to invite your son up, please. Glenn Jr., you're going to help us with this.
Surprise.
Surprise. The class first and then 10. Okay. Would you like to hand your father the Myron Yanish Officer of the Year Award? Congratulations. We have one more duty for you, please. There is a pin that we would like you to pin on your dad, Officer of the Year 2016. There you go, turn around for a picture. That's okay. And we would also like to present to you the California Legislature Assembly Certificate of Recognition to Sergeant Glenn Thompson, the Pasadena Police Foundation Yanish Officer of the Year.
Thank you very much.
Turn around. He doesn't want to share.
There you go. Okay, and on behalf of the Police Foundation, this is a gift certificate for you and your wife to have dinner, or whoever you choose to come with you. Us, we're fun too. To go to El Cholo for dinner.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And then lastly, there is an amount of $500 that has been donated in your name to the Pasadena Police Officers Association.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh.
I know you guys think I'm gonna be up here a long time, but I was already told to keep it down to 30 seconds. And there's not a mic that I don't like. But I would just like to first of all say, first and foremost, thank God for whom all blessing flow and who's the head of my life. And it's through him that I can do all things. And I want to thank the chief as well as our executive staff for nominating me, giving me this opportunity to serve the city of Pasadena. And to all my fellow officers and employees here, I just thank you guys for all the support that you have given me for the last 27 years. And to my wife of 31 years, and my son as well as my daughter, I just want to thank you guys for just enduring me for the 27 years that I have either missed maybe one game or whatever deal is. But again, sacrifice is a big thing, but you guys have really made me proud because my daughter now works for Allstate and my son now is in backgrounds with the LA County Sheriff's Department. So, but we're going to try to change that. We're going to try to change that. But again, I just like to just say to everyone, thank you for being here. And again, just remember Philippians 4:13 that I can do all things through Christ that gives me the strength. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to flip the program around a little bit now, and we're going to have the K-9 demonstration, and the chief speech is going to be at the tail end. Lieutenant John Mercado.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. I have to apologize. We were going by the program, so my handlers are out getting the dogs right now. This morning, though, installing, we do have a total of 4 dogs. 2 of our dogs can't make it. One's actually coming back from Chino, stuck in traffic. He assisted in a search warrant this morning. And that's Figo, and his handler, I switched it up on purpose, his handler's Steve Arcan. Our other dog who couldn't make it today is Nico, and his handler is Matt Widger. Both of those 2 dogs are dual trained in patrol, which means that they go out and they look for bad guys that are hiding, as well as narcotic scent detection. So that's why Steve was helping out this morning. Our 2 dogs that are here, I'll start with the old man in the house, as I affectionately like to refer to him as, Tom Brown, and his dog is Brock. They're taking the long way around. This is Tom's second time in the K-9 unit. He had a patrol and narcotic detection dog. Brock is dual trained as well, both in patrol and explosive detection. And then our newest member to the unit is Linda, and her dog is Kyra. You guys may see that on there. Everyone pronounces the name wrong, Kyra, or a bunch of derivations thereof. It's Kyra. Kyra, as well, is patrol trained, and she is explosive detection with a specialty. Her specialty that we're working her up on, and she's getting better on it, not quite there yet, but she's getting there, it's called vapor wake. So the difference would be Kyra will eventually be trained to be able to trace smaller amounts of explosive detection material or explosive material, typically worn in a suicide bomber. And she'll be able to trace that through a crowd and alert to somebody who could very well be carrying, again, a smaller amount, typically that a suicide bomber would take. So I actually do want to give it over to Tom and Linda so they can talk a little bit more about their dogs and their trainings, and then Linda will do the presentation this morning. So, Tom, would you mind coming up?
Sure. The old man can go first. I need my nap.
Tell them about the dogs on the table for sale.
Okay, got it. Off. Here, I'll tell you that. Off. As Lieutenant said,
having both bomb dogs, explosive dogs that we have, we're continuously expanding in what we do. And being around the Rose Bowl, talk to Convention Center, obviously, and some other places that we're doing, and stepping up how we're visible, and driving around a lot more and searching a lot more. It's been different for some people, but it's been nice for us because a lot more people want to come up and know what we're doing and how we're doing it, which has been very nice. We've been able to meet a lot of people in doing so. And people that want to ask a lot of questions to help their fears a little bit, so we're able to help with that. Especially we've been at the convention center quite a bit lately, and a lot of folks have come up during different events. So, but yeah, we're getting there with Kyra. As long as we keep progressing with her, you're going to start seeing her hopefully a lot more at different events in the city or just walking around. She's been on South Lake. We do a lot of training, a lot of stuff we do. We just finished a stint at the Santa Anita Mall last week, so we're venturing out. Hopefully we have the Pasadena Glendale Burbank Airport that hopefully we'll be coming up to in the next month or so, and also the Glendale Galleria. So we're also helping out with cities that are next to us also. So that's kind of showing how we are branching out into different parts of the community. And things like this do help us because this has been a great help to us and our agency. Thank you. I guess I got to talk about the dog. Sorry about that. I'm old, I forget. You're going to live that one down. But Brock, 6 years old, German Shepherd. His parents are from overseas, but Brock was actually born in the United States. So he is from here. Kyra is from overseas. What did I say?
What language is he?
What language? First time, why am I getting laughed at? What did I say? Marie?
He was born here.
Yeah, he's born here. Born in America, which most of them, sorry, is taken away, but most of the dogs that you see in police agencies, especially from LA County, are all from overseas. Brock's parents were, and they actually both recently passed away last year down in Newport Beach. He led a good life. He was a Newport Beach dog for a while. But yeah, he's 6 years old, and for his languages, because he was from the States, and I've had other dogs, and I'm an instructor and I train. Brock gets German commands, he gets Dutch commands, and he gets Czech commands. So it's whatever I threw at him and whatever he learned from my training and experience, so he gets a little bit of everything. Bilingual pay is what he needs. That's what it is. Chief, yeah, bilingual pay. So, but thank you all very much again for attending. This has been nice to see the building fill back up again. So thanks for everybody for showing up. Thank you and supporting us.
She has a thing for Brock. And Brock's toys. She'd rather have Brock's toys than her toy. This is Kyra. Seats. Seats. Good girl. She is 3 years old. She is a Dutch Shepherd. A lot of people can see the Shepherd in her, but then they can see the Belgian Malinois, which is the activity and the high energy that she has. Seats. Seats. She is from the Netherlands, and she understands Dutch commands. It's funny when people say, oh, what does she speak? Well, she doesn't speak anything. She speaks dog. If she spoke Dutch, then we'd all be making a lot of money. But she understands Dutch commands, so I had to learn some Dutch. She does know some English, and I'm teaching her some Spanish. So she's trilingual. So trilingual pay? No. I got her in January. We went through 2 classes. We went through the basic class, and then we went through the detection class. And like Tom had mentioned, she's being trained on the vapor suicide bomber type stuff. I go once a month to LAX. Here, she's already trying to smell the odor. I have odor out here that will demonstrate in a little bit that she's searching for. Seats, leave it, leave it, leave it, seats. So once a month I go to LAX and work with those guys because you see their dogs go off leash, and she wants the flower, dog at heart. And we do the off leash, but they're muzzled because they are bite dogs. I was surprised that LAX dogs are bite dogs just like mine is, but they do them muzzled. So she's muzzled. If you see us at the Rose Bowl, we do the same kind of training. So I get a lot of our volunteers, yay, our volunteers, they dress down and they actually carry some odor on them, and they're walking through the crowd. And her job will be to try to locate that person following that has the odor on them. We will be going hopefully to that training more in depth in January or February coming up. But we're getting there. And we've been out in the streets since about May so far of this year. And she's great to have. I don't know, are you going to talk? Okay. So I'm just going to walk around. I'll be walking. Hopefully she won't grab your extra food. She is hungry. But I'll go. Tom, I'm going to go this way first. Okay. I'll go around this way, and then one on each side so maybe you guys can see it. So we'll just kind of walk through, and when she indicates that she's found an odor, she's to sit. We try to discourage the scratching and trying to grab it for, the obvious reasons that it might go kaboom. So we don't want that to happen. We train them to just sit where they find the odor. And then we back out because we're not bomb techs. We back out and call the bomb squad. So that's my girl.
So as Linda and Kyra begin their search, just a couple things that you'll notice. There's two drives that our dogs work off of. When they're looking for a bad guy, they're in a prey drive, which is very close to their natural instincts from the wolf family. This drive, fortunately for everyone in this room, is totally different. So you saw me petting her, and you can see that she's not interested in biting anybody in here at all because she's in play drive. The play drive is the high energy drive. Her object is to find the scent that she's been classically conditioned to find because she wants that toy. And she gets rewarded, and that's her main goal when in the play drive is to find that scent so she can get the toy because it's all a game for her. So that's how our dogs can go back and forth between two different environments. Between one that is such like this where we don't have to worry about it and another one where she is looking for someone who is hiding from us. And there she found it. Daryl, did you bring something you shouldn't have brought, Daryl? So that's a new aspect for us, a female dog and a male dog, and there's this crush thing that we're trying to work out, so. So as she makes her way to the other side of the room, some folks have asked, well, if you know that there's say that we think there's a explosive device in this piano, the assumption is that we bring an explosive dog in and put their nose right on the piano so the dog can say, yeah, mom or dad, depending on their handler. That's where the bad thing is. But that's not what we do, and that's not what we want to do because we don't want to have a false positive. It's a huge event when we do find an explosive device or something we think is an explosive device. Businesses are displaced, residents are displaced, traffic patterns are changed, and it's mildly inconvenient to say the least for folks. So we have the dogs work the scent, and the dogs will take the handler to where the explosive device is. So we know it's not a false positive, but they actually are on the scent of something that can go boom and hurt folks. So that's why she'll work around and around because the scent pattern based on the air conditioning or the wind flow blows the scent pattern in different locations, and she catches it and she'll work it back oftentimes in a serpentine kind of style to where it actually is. Same for our narcotic detection. It's a similar principle. So it was uneventful. Kyra did uneventful in the sense of how it looked. Kyra did find the two things. So fortunately, there's not a third in here that's real because that would be a problem for us. But we would, if we have a couple minutes, Susan, open it up for any questions. I'm not sure how any questions for either Tom or Linda that anybody may have. Yes. Great question. The question was, where do the dogs live when they're not working?
Chief's house.
Tom, you want to take that?
Off. All of our dogs come home with us. We pretty much hold an on-call status for 24/7. The cars go home with us, the dogs go home with us, so that if we are needed, we can roll from wherever we might be at. And one quick thing, really quick too, because I know a lot of the volunteers are here, and Linda mentioned part of it, but thank you guys very much. They have been coming out, working at LAX with us, walking around the Rose Bowl in the heat, and doing more for us than anyone has. And so we really appreciate it. For those that are in here or those that can pass it along to those folks when they see them, thank you very, very much for the help you guys give us. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now I'd like to call Chief Phillip Sanchez up to tell us the state of Pasadena.
So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 2016 Chiefs Breakfast. It's always a pleasure to spend a few minutes with you for some brief remarks. I wanted to, before I started my remarks, recognize a few other VIPs that have either walked into the room or weren't called out the first time. Council Member Tyrone Hampton, I believe you're out there, Mr. Hampton, somewhere. Thank you for coming this morning. Field Representatives Vanya De La Cuva and Noreen Sullivan from Districts 5 and 4. Assistant City Manager Julie Gutierrez. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Captain Vicki Stuckey and her staff. Our good friend Captain Terry Marengo from Salvation Army. Terry, are you out there? And then just quickly, and maybe you can hold our applause to the end. Of course, the great Tournament of Roses are always here to support us. Executive Director Bill Flynn and the executive members of their board as well. Former NACP President Joe Brown and his wife. Director of Park Services Horace Wormley. Beverly Bogard, my assistant. Pasadena Police Officers Association, Roger Roldan and the board of directors, the Yanish family, and of course the Pasadena Foundation. Please give them all a wonderful hand. Thank you. So my comments on the program this morning were titled Homeland Security, and I'm going to wrap that up, I hope, in my comments. We are in an awkward time nationally and internationally, in part because of situations that occur in other parts of our country have direct nexus to the Pasadena Police Department. Of course, then, here in Pasadena, we are so blessed to have the Tournament of Roses parade and the Rose Bowl game, the granddaddy of them all. Every time that we gather 91,000 people or 65,000 people into a single enclosed stadium, I always become very worried. And fortunately, we have an extraordinary staff in the men and women of the Pasadena Police Department, our volunteers, that support that effort to safeguard our community and our fans annually. It's getting more and more difficult. In part, we've all read about the lone wolf non-state actor. Historically, that individual who radicalizes typically would radicalize in other parts of the world and then come to the United States so that they could either carry out their ideology, their thoughts about, terrorism. But more recently, what we've seen is a local domestic transformation from individuals who wouldn't take the additional step to detonate a bomb or in an active shooter situation, a mass stabbing in Texas. Those kinds of things have become more complicated for the Pasadena Police Department. To safeguard our community, we have resources like our canines that you saw this morning, that they're able to smell vapors, or they're able to find suspects, they're able to find articles, and they're that kind of first defense in this kind of concentric circles of defense that we put around all these major events and in our city ourselves. But that's not where it stops. Really, the truth is the men and women of the Pasadena Police Department are also part of that effort, in that they're always aware of what their surroundings are and try to engage our public as best they can, so that we can try to force multiply and determine what we're going to do with respect to Homeland Security. I've said many, many times before, and I still believe it to be true, our community is our greatest resource. It seems a cliche, but see something, say something policing is as important in homeland security, of course, as it is in reporting a crime in progress. And in that effort, I'm proud to tell you that we have had many alerts from our citizens, most recently in the last week or two, to a couple of different pressure cookers that have been found in our community, and we were able to mitigate that very quickly with the assistance, at least in one case, with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Bomb Squad. So these dynamics are real as far as the engagement of Homeland Security and what we're going to do continuing going forward. We have a great partnership with the FBI, the Joint Terrorist Task Force, and with the JRIC, which is the Joint Information Intelligence Center. That's real-time information that comes to the Pasadena Police Department so that we can do our job more effectively and every day. Despite some of our best efforts, though, mass shootings, whether they're terrorist or internationally terrorist motivated, or they're following some other ideology, or a lone wolf, we've not been as successful as we've hoped to stop those kinds of events. And I think that, in part, we face an interesting and evolving dynamic in that one of the key components of Homeland Security are the very police officers that are out in the field every day. And with that comment, I'd take a sidebar and I'd ask my brothers and sisters in the law enforcement family from the Pasadena Police Department, the LA County Sheriff's plainclothes or uniform, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you for the great job that you do every day, whether you're retired or you're currently in the force. The effort that you do every day is critically important to the safeguard of the community. We're in a dynamic, difficult situation nationally now because of the focus of law enforcement officers, police officer shootings, police officer force conduct. Those kinds of things are consistently being evaluated. I wonder if you know the name Stephen Owens. I wonder if you know where he's from or who he is. I wonder if you know that he was killed in the line of duty yesterday by an assailant who shot him in the face. He died yesterday while discharging his duties the best he possibly could. Not a perfect man, but from everything I know of Mr. Owens and my dialogue with Sheriff McDonald and others, that he was a good man. He served in court services for a very long time. And then he wanted to transfer out where it was safe. So he went to North County and he served in Lancaster for a period of time. He was 54 years old. He had 29 years of service with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. He was an extraordinary young man, and I'm sure was anticipating his retirement. But Owens is not unique. Do you recall the names of the officers who were killed in Dallas or in Baton Rouge? Do you recall the names of the officers that were killed in New York? All of these things are sensational, there's no doubt. But the truth is it erodes, oftentimes, the first responder's faith in what he or she should be doing. There's no fanfare for Sergeant Owens. There's no fanfare for the other officers that have died in the line of duty. There's no demonstrations. There's no one turning over cars. There's no one vandalizing. The message is important that publicly and privately we support our law enforcement officers. You're here this morning in part because you support the foundation, and the foundation supports the Pasadena Police Department. We need to reach out and support our officers, our first responders, publicly. The message is as important as our conduct when it comes to either criticizing local law enforcement or national law enforcement, or recognizing the great work they do. The men and women of the Pasadena Police Department are not perfect, not by any stretch of the imagination. But each and every day they go out and they try to do the duty to the best of their ability. They're well trained, they're well educated, and they're supported by an extraordinary city council. The leadership that comes from the council is very profound. I just might add, though, my job might be in jeopardy. I think you bid a little bit more for the canine ride-along than you did with the lunch for the mayor, so I'm worried about that. Mary, I'll kick in the extra couple hundred clams to make it work. But I'm only being joking, of course, for a little levity, but the truth is that we do get great support from our city council and from you, our community. And that will continue, I think, as we go forward, and it must continue if we're going to prepare for the future. We have an extraordinary work staff. I could not be more proud or privileged to work with the Pasadena Police Department, some great men and women. And we have extraordinary young people in our community that are coming up through public school, through private school, through the cadet program, through PAL. We need to nurture and prepare them for the future. If we are prepared today, what are you doing then to help prepare our young people for the future? Will they be doctors or lawyers or, I hope, a Pasadena police officer? If so, it's going to take your mentorship. It will take your involvement to ensure that they are well prepared and interested in the law enforcement community. So I ask for your support as we go forward, behind the scenes or publicly, that you might support your police department locally, regionally, nationally. You don't have to demonstrate. You don't have to do those kinds of overt, dramatic things. You just need simply to support us and welcome the opportunity to help us make a better Pasadena together. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Would the people that bought the lunch with the dogs see me afterwards? In fact, I have Marilyn, you bought it last year, and somebody else here bought it last year. I have some dates for you in November, and I'd like to set it up while we're here. I'd like to thank you for attending and supporting our event. I'd like to have our board members stand, please, and a round of applause. Thank you very much. Everyone got to meet Officer Mercado and Kyra and helpfully see her SUV, what we called the doghouse. And I think it's in the back, isn't it? Down there. This is what the foundation funded in 2014. And also what we sponsored last year in 2015 is the MUV, or the mobile utility vehicle, and that should be down in the back parking lot too for you to take a look at. Thank you again to all our sponsors and all of you, and we couldn't do it without you. Hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Of course, I'm just back up from one quick word. Susan couldn't do it without her wonderful board. I couldn't do it without the love of my life, Deborah. Thanks, Deb.